Hello, everybody. I'm Dustin, and this is a very, very rare occasion. We have another Dustin.
Oh man, dude, yeah, it is. We are few and many.
Oh man, how are you doing? How are you doing, man?
Good man, good. Just watching some spooky shit and getting stoked to talk about some Screambox stuff.
Hell yeah, man. And you run a really, really good show over there, Flicks and Friends podcast, which is really, really cool. I've been seeing it pop up a lot on Twitter and all the other podcasts that I follow. Everybody's talking about you guys, and I've started listening to you, and I
Oh, thanks,
really
dude.
enjoy your show. It's super fun. I know you run it with a few of your buddies, and it's always the best when you have like multiple people doing a podcast because you can bounce off of everybody, especially when they're like close friends and whatnot. So your
Yeah,
show, it's such a comfort show that I put it on every chance I can.
cool. That's highly appreciated. Yeah, I've known Paul and Sean probably about the same amount of time, but we're all in different places too. Like they've never actually met each other.
Wow.
Other than us being on the show together.
Wow.
I lived in South Carolina and I used to hang out with Paul, and then I used to work at a movie store down here in Orlando with Sean.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you brought
Yeah,
everything together, so that's
yeah,
that's extremely cool. But before we jump into everything, why don't you let the listeners know where they can find you, what you guys are up to, and whatnot.
yeah. Well, like it was just said, I'm Dustin. I'm one third of the Flicks and Friends podcast. I co-host with my buddies Paul and Sean. We're a variety movie podcast. We talk about anything from comedies to horror to animated. You name it, we might do it. And we are on just about every single podcasting platform minus YouTube. So anywhere you get your podcast, you can definitely check us out.
Awesome. And as always, I'll put all the links below so they can go and follow you and listen to you. I highly recommend this show. You guys are hilarious. And
Thanks,
you
man.
and the
We
guests
try
that
to
you
be.
have on too, like you have a lot of friends of mine of the show that go on your show, so it's really really cool and seeing so many people supporting each other. Especially the last couple of years, podcasts have been amazing,
Yeah.
and the communities have been amazing. So I guess without further ado, we can jump into what we're doing today, which is what is this episode 6 of Screambox Essential Picks. Um, I reached out to a bunch of people on Twitter. I put out a big post about anybody who wanted to come on and cover some films. You were like, "Hey, let's do it." You gave me your film, which is 1031, October 31st, and
Yep.
the one that I picked is Antrum, the deadliest film ever made. So these are movies that we find essential to ourselves. I say this every episode, just so for anybody who's coming into it new, they're like, why are they talking about movies that aren't like Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th? Because what I'm trying to do with this is make it so anybody who's new, thinking about, or already on Screenbox. Because as you can see, they've been putting out like 30 titles a month, man. It
Yeah. Oh
is
yeah.
crazy the amount of movies that they put out. So I figured I'm going to do a lot of the heavy lifting with friends and try to get some movies in a playlist essentially. So for anybody
Okay,
who's
cool.
thinking about movies to watch, you can go listen to the show and be like, okay, that movie sounds pretty cool. I'm gonna go check that out right now because it's very daunting when you're going through the library. It really is.
Oh man, like when you asked if we wanted to do this, man, I started going through the catalog and I sat there for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, and I thought I was done. I thought I was
No.
no, man. I'm like, fuck. All right, well, I get, let me just keep going, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. And there's like days where they release like 10 or 15 titles at once, and you're like, bro, calm down. What the
Yeah,
fuck are you doing, Screenbox? Give
yeah.
us a little bit of room to breathe so that way we can go and, enjoy some of these films and get caught up. Because when I got onto when they, like kind of rebranded themselves and I subscribed to them, I was trying so hard to watch everything they had because at that point they were only releasing maybe 5 to 8 titles a month, and now they've blown up. So it's so hard to do that. So I hope that these shows kind of help everybody else out. But we'll let you start off with the film that you have. We can kind of go over it. I have IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes up over here if you want me to read anything off that, or if you want to do everything off the cuff, I'll leave the floor to you, man.
Yeah, so I chose 1031 because my favorite type of horror movie is anthologies.
Yeah.
Like I love the idea of you have 15 minutes. 15 minutes to tell the story, and sure, some of them aren't bangers, but that one might not be scary to me, but it might be scary to you, you know? And
Yeah.
it's up to interpretation. And all five of the ones that were on this movie, I enjoyed a little bit of each one. And that's very rare for me, man, because it's either I really like I'm gonna go and throw Creep Show 2 out there. My favorite one is the fucking Hitchhiker. The
Oh
other ones
yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of, you know? I mean, Chief Woodenhead's cool, but you
That
know,
one's really overrated, to be honest.
Chief Woodenhead or
Yeah, that
what?
one really
Yeah,
is.
no, I love the Hitchhiker, dude. That's my favorite one. And but going into this, man, what I liked is it was presented to us like a movie marathon.
Yeah.
Like it was a TV show. I fucking dug that, dude. And if you can do that right, it hits. It doesn't matter how low budget it is. It doesn't matter how shitty the ideas are. If you can hit it if you can convince me that it's one cohesive story, I'm down.
Yeah. And they did a really, really good job with this one. I'm the same way. I love anthologies. It's also because I'm a huge fan of short films. Every time I go to a film festival, I have to make sure I go to the shorts blocks because
Yeah,
it's the best way for, I think, a starting filmmaker or even like a veteran filmmaker or writer to showcase what they can do in like 5 to 15 minutes. Or even
sure.
shorter than that. Like I've seen some shorts that were literally 15 seconds and I was just like,
Oh yeah.
what?
Like like
Yeah.
Lights Out was like a 2.5 minute short film.
Yeah, there's so many. There was one I just saw. I forget what it was. I think it was like Split Decision or something like that. A quick decision that I saw, and I was just like, "How did you do all that in literally 10 seconds?" It was ridiculous, but it was
Wow.
great. So I always champion short films. So anthologies is a great way to kind of digest that in a more of a narrative driven way. And 1031 is great, and they have multiple parts. I'm pretty sure Screambox, as we said before we started, I think they have part two, but you said there might be also a part three. So who knows?
Yeah. No, and again, like with anthologies, you get a variety. Like
Yeah,
it's not one steady story you have to pay attention to. It's you get the sci-fi, you get the slasher, you get the paranormal. Uh, any type of taste of horror you want that can be within an anthology.
yeah. And if you love Halloween, this is based on Halloween.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean,
pretty
that's just
much.
like
Yeah.
a whole added thing to it. So this gives you even more treats, you know.
I
Um,
feel like that was the cohesiveness throughout the whole movie was it was Halloween.
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Um,
That was the only thing that tied it together, which I dug.
Yeah, it's great. So I do have the IMDb score, which
Oh,
is a 4.7 out of 10 with 522 reviews. That's not awful for IMDb.
average. Yeah, it's an average type of movie.
Yeah. And I have on Rotten Tomatoes, unfortunately, there are no reviews for critics or audience on here. So people, get on Rotten Tomatoes and rate this thing.
Yeah.
Go and do it. Sometimes they give us a budget and stuff, but we don't. We do have when it first started streaming, which was November 18th, 2020. Which is weird because this movie came out, what year was it?
2017.
Yeah, 2017. So it took a while for it to get to a streaming service. I imagine it was playing at like probably smaller cinemas. That's probably why I don't have a theatrical release on it.
Sure.
Um, Usually with anthology movies like this, that's more indie driven, not like huge budget like Creepshow or something like that. They usually kind of are off to the wayside. But it's a great film. I enjoyed it. I loved all the segments. There's 5 segments in here, and it's super duper fun. So I thank you for picking this one because it's been a while since I've seen it. And when I saw the cover, I was like, oh, this movie. I was
Yeah.
like, I love this one. I love it. It's so fun.
Yeah, it was my first watch through, man, and I dug it a lot.
Yeah, so if you guys love anthologies, make sure you check this one out, and also go watch part two. That's also on Screenbox. And then for, I guess, a completely like 180, I picked Antrum. And this movie, it really, it struck me because of how they were marketing this one and how the movie was already marketing itself. It's the deadliest film ever made. It's a cursed film. People have died who have seen this, and it's cool because the first like 15 minutes of it, they kind of have like a documentary style of talking about the film and going through it and being like, why this is cursed, why it's the deadliest film ever made. And then they kind of go on and saying that somebody, bought it at an auction, and then they think people may have put in like extra stills or like scenes in here, and it's really interesting, like seeing films that are essentially lost or cursed. And I enjoyed this one a lot. But what did you think of
Um, they're okay. I
it?
I kind of wish we got more of the documentary style of the movie. Like it
Okay.
was like the beginning, the first 15, give us 45 of that and then 30 of this movie. Uh Only because like I got lost real quick, man. Like when where did the mom go? Like what happened? Like what that's left up to your interpretation, correct? Like
Yeah, essentially.
and then they're just out in the middle of the fucking woods.
Yeah.
So it's I watched the whole thing, man, and to be honest, what kind of took me out of it was at the very beginning of this movie when they're euthanizing that dog.
That hit me hard because I was actually in a room with one of my dogs who had to put down, so
Yeah,
that hit me pretty hard.
and it didn't build momentum for me until they were caught, and that is the last like 8 minutes of the
Okay.
movie.
Really?
Like for me, like it took like I sat there and I'm waiting for something to happen, and up until they got caught, man, and then I was like, okay, cool, fuck yeah, and then they got away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this film, I kind of had mixed emotions about it too, but then I had to watch it again. So I watched this twice so far. And
mm,
I started to like it on the second watch. It's definitely a film I want everybody to see. Like these are films I want
sure,
everybody to go and watch, especially when it's a film when they're advertising it as the deadliest film ever made. I mean, come on, you gotta go watch
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Um, but it gave me a little bit of a reminder of like how they're going through like the stages of hell essentially. There's a movie that came out last year that kind of had the same theme that was on Shudder called Revealer, and that
hmm
was my favorite movie of last year. And like every time I went to like because there was a book that was being used, and every time they got to a different stage, they would like tell you what the stage was, and like that was getting me hooked. I'm like, I want to hear the guy say it again. I want to hear
oh,
the
okay,
voice. So
yeah.
I really started to like this film a lot. And I imagine this is going to be another mixed, emotions film. Usually, when there's so much hype built around a film like this, it's very hit or miss. You have to like really want to be into this. And this is a what was it, 1979 or something when this was actually made. So not that many people have seen it, as you can see at the beginning of the film. They kind of explain everything. Um, but it's a film.
Yeah, it's a movie for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah,
So
like I said a minute ago, man, like if it's someone else's cup of tea, I'm not here to shit in it, like
yeah, yeah,
I might not like it, but someone else might like it.
exactly. And that's why you love
So
anthologies.
yeah, exactly.
I get if this was an anthology film, we would have been like, "This is rad."
If this movie were 15 minutes long.
There you go. There you go. So I have the scores for IMDb.
Okay.
It's a 4.9 out of 10 with 3,538 reviews.
Okay.
Damn.
Wow, yeah.
So a lot of people saw this like as soon as they had the chance.
And they're split down the middle.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
And Rotten Tomatoes, we actually do have scores for this one. So
Oh,
the
shit.
critic score with 17 reviews is 76%. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And then the audience score with only 100 plus ratings is 45%, which I can see this, as we're talking, it's clearly a split down the middle type of movie. You're gonna really like it, or you're gonna kind of maybe want to pass on it. Um,
Yeah.
But that's okay. I mean, not every single movie has to land for everybody. Like, otherwise, like, what's the point of creating art if you're trying to appease to everybody? You know?
And you never know until you fucking watch it.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, so
So if you like, gritty style movies that has a plot that's kind of loose, Antrum's for you. If you like anthologies that can go anywhere, and 31's for you. If you like both of those, then this is a perfect pair. And as I usually do when we do these pairings, I like to kind of give you an order as I think would be the best way to watch it. I think start with Antrum, kind of do like a slower movie, not really knowing what's going on, and then go into 1031 and end it with a bang. That's my opinion.
yeah, I'd agree because if you started with 1031, you'd feel compelled to not finish Antrim. I
Yeah,
think if
yeah,
you
yeah.
if you watched Antrim, get you the palate cleanser, put 1031 on, and just have a good fucking time.
Yeah, exactly. And as always, these episodes are extremely short, and it's fun. I love doing these. Dustin, it's been great having you on. It's so weird saying my name.
Dude, it is. Dude, I think I broke Brett the other night when I mentioned that I was coming on the show and I was talking about you talking like as me and he goes, "Wait, which Dustin are you talking about?"
Yeah, it's always crazy when you have to say your own name. Like with us, there's not that many of us, so it's not super common for you to have to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go see my friend Dustin or whatever it may be. So it's always weird
You
saying
are
your name.
now you are now the fifth in my lifetime that I've ever met.
Really? You might be
Yeah.
my third because I think I went to school with somebody with that name. I think.
I'm always around Justin's.
J- Oh,
I'm
I've
always
actually
around
known a
Justin's.
lot of Austins and
Mhm.
one Destin, which was super weird with an E.
Yep. Oh, I
Like
know a
what?
Destin as well.
Like
Yeah.
what the hell? I
Yeah, I
guess
know
we all come together eventually.
yeah, we're the Ustins.
Yeah,
Yep.
the Austins for sure. But this was a blast, man, and I want to stay in
Absolutely.
contact. Anytime you want to come on to do like an actual full-on review of a movie, let me know. Sling me some films too. I'd love to come on your show and talk to you and the
Oh, it's already in
gang.
the works. It's already in the works, man. Oh
Hell
yeah.
yeah, hell yeah. And as always, Screambox, thank you guys so much for being great supporters of a lot of podcasts, not even just mine, but being able to let us do things like this to, help promote your site as much as we can. I love Screambox. They treat us so well over here, and I really hope that they, you know, latch on to you guys as well. If you want, I can see what I can do to get you guys into contact with them.
Yeah. I mean, I'll do what I can too. I mean, they're pretty responsive on Twitter. Like what turned me on to it is
Uh-huh.
I asked you one night about like, hey, if I were to purchase this program or the streaming service, what can I expect? What would you recommend? And they chimed in,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I'm like, there we go. That's where it's at, man.
Yeah, Alex, who runs the socials over there, he's always so helpful. So if you guys are curious, if you want more, if you just, at Screenbox, what can I watch? And Alex will just be like, okay, what are you into? What? Give me like your top like 3 movies, and he'll kind of base it off there. So there's a lot of ways for you guys to kind of get a list going and trying to figure out what to watch. So I
And
hope
dude,
everybody gets on there.
he hit me with Nightbreed, and Nightbreed's my
I love Nightbreed,
dude.
man. I have a
It,
bunch of shirts of Nightbreed.
me too. Me too, man. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, I need to get a poster up on this wall eventually, whenever I can
Yeah,
find space.
yeah,
But this was a blast, and I hope everybody's enjoying this series. I'd love to get you on again for another one and a full-on
sure,
review. And everybody, go check out his podcast. Links will be down below, and we'll keep supporting each other.
absolutely.
All right, take it easy, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one.
Later.